My name is Tonya Curry, and this is this week's Acumen Media Report. It's entitled Not Fit for Purpose, No Time to Play in SA. She said she'd accept $5,000 for Joshlin, promised 20 grand, but she'd accept 5. According to witness testimony this week, Kelly Smith made those statements more than once while her child was alive. We learned how she had tried to stab her other child, how she often left the kids to their own devices even though they were too tiny to take care of themselves.
Sy het ook genoem dat volgens die oproep is dat die inligting wat sy van die Nigeriese man ontvang het, dat haar kind op 'n boot is, binne in 'n container, en dat hulle op pad is na Wes-Afrika.
As hulle hierdie keer kom, en hulle het nie die volle bedrag, van R20,000, gaan sy tevrede wees met R5,000.
She said a Nigerian man had said it's time to play. She also said and told her friend, Joshlin made me famous. She said that her 7-year-old daughter was in a container on a ship that was traveling to Southwest Africa. The Joshlin testimony has been explosive. We beg the media houses to fix their sound as the nation tunes in every day to try and make sense of the disappearance of Joshlin and her pretty green eyes. Even though the audio isn't great, the judge is excellent. He's got this. He has schooled the legal team on a daily basis and also caught the translator doing some shoddy translations.
We are ready. And then you can sort these issues out overnight. But I will not lose court time because the parties are not bringing their part to the table, to court lecture.
The entire court case is set in a community hall, making the echo unbearable for a nation glued to YouTube, not fit for purpose. I'm Tonya Curry. The media cycle rotates so quickly that I struggle to read the news, so you don't have to. Last week we spoke of the nation's traitor, Ernst Rutz. He returned to home soil and then told us that he was about to make a huge announcement, bigger than your visit to the yawning lawns of Die Withuis. Well, this I have to see. I wasn't disappointed. I was vindicated. Ernie wants you all to give him $100 a month towards his Pioneer initiative. Although I think he was playing on the word Voortrekker, but Pioneer sounded more multilingual, which is handy, as Trump said America is 100% Engels. So those acts of treason were actually just a massive ad campaign, and I wonder exactly how many Amerikaners paid Ritzy his handy.
Well, they're saying that the organizations that I was involved with at the time have committed treason, that we've been charged for treason.
You've been charged with treason?
Yeah.
For what?
For speaking, well, among others, for me speaking with you about what's happening.
That's treason?
In South Africa. Yeah, because it's bad-mouthing your country. That's the argument.
Damn.
So I don't know if it was this
Ponzi scheme loading. The president took a good swipe at Ernie and Cully by calling them unpatriotic, and that we are yet to determine if their actions are in fact treasonous.
And I regard that as being non-patriotic, because when you're a patriot of a country, the best you do is to resolve the problems or issues you have in country rather than begin to damage the sovereignty of your country by running off to other countries and expecting them to take action against your own country.
He didn't speak to them directly. I don't think he'll condescend to crawl to their level, but he told them this at the president's Q&A. All my life has been spent in the shadow of apartheid, and when South Africa went through its extraordinary change in 1994, it was like having spent a lifetime in a boxing ring with an opponent and suddenly finding yourself in that boxing ring with nobody else and realizing you've to take the gloves off, get out, and reinvent yourself. Athol Fugard. My story of the week is a personal one, being involved from the beginning and watching the health of my friend Tom London improve every day. I have a story of hope and accountability that we all need as South Africans. The Ombudsman released its findings on the Helen Joseph Hospital, and to quote the perfect line from the report, Helen Joseph is not fit for purpose. Not fit for purpose, a South African story. Tom is so brave. He walked into that room filled with detractors and journalists hungry for headlines. The establishment tried to swing the narrative to Tom's allegations being unfounded. They conveniently mentioned that they had interviewed the doctors and some random people in the hospital who said everything was just dandy. They also said Tom was seen by 23 doctors. They said this with pride. 23 doctors. Is that normal? They said that they leave bodies out of the morgue for 2 hours because sometimes they wake up. And this was followed with a giggle.
When somebody has died in a hospital ward, they've got at least 2 hours to lie in that ward. And part of it has got nothing to do with shortage or whatever. It is to do with the Umbad explained today, that there are situations where people believe you are dead now, they rush you to the mortuary and only to find that people warm up there. So they said there must be a cooling off period of at least 2 hours.
It was only much later in the press conference that we learned that the HJG has had one person handling both procurement and payments, and that there's no linen, no food, because none of the suppliers have been paid. In order to paint the ceiling, there is an outsourced company that has not only to confirm that it needs painting, but also needed on site if a light bulb needs changing. Sounds like a Tendo lotter built for Soddy, doesn't it? The mortuary slabs have been stolen and the number of flies requires immediate pest control. In this instance, unsubstantiated also means not fit for purpose. I think that's vindication enough, don't you? We are all Tom London. And then the worst news is that the government, and I have no idea why, have banned CBD gummies and edibles. They do realize we've been making space cakes for decades, don't they? I wonder what that's all about. Bring back the gummies. Cyril the Squirrel, after a guided tour of the metros, was shocked at the state of our city centres. He had the gall to ask, who did this? Who did this? You did this, Chana. You, and yes, you're calling the Sufi to try and scupper him from his fat cat post, but that doesn't change the fact that this here mess is down to you and all those before you. No time to play. Really, you insult us, Cupcake. Do you think we cannot see what's in front of our eyes? Rumpelstiltskin answered questions in the president's Q&A where he admitted to meeting Mossad and Ilonsky.
In fostering peace in all conflicts around the world, we as South Africa have said that we will be willing to engage with those who are interested in ensuring that there's peace, even at times when they may seem not to be interested. So we work in a very interactive way. And as I said to you, there is just no way we can say we don't talk to certain people who are either non-state actors or state actors.
Julius was not amused.
And you have single-handedly destroyed the diplomatic relations of South Africa with other countries, and you have destroyed and juniorized the Department of International Relations.
Within the same week, Matamela met with the EU summit. He looked so pleased as punch actually, as the EU agreed to bridge the PEPFAR gap. This live on television. All three of them taking a good jab at the nectarine. We witnessed carnage on our roads, this time 2 horrific bus crashes. We then braced for ourselves in our own crash position as the budget speech 2025 made it 2.0.
All right, now everybody, get in crash position.
This time, VAT was definitely on the table, and like a loaded gun in a film script, it was either we take the VAT increase or our destitute South Africans relinquish their SRD grant worth 370 Rand a month. Please bear in mind that 56 billion was allocated to salary increases for government employees. Did you get an increase over inflation this year? I'm just wondering if you're fit for purpose. Here's an interesting fact. If you have more than 654 Rand in your bank account, you don't qualify for the SRD grant. You're not fit for purpose, eh? For you in the West to hear the phrase, all men are created equal, is to draw a yawn. For us, it's a miracle. We're starting out at rock bottom, man. But South Africa does have soul. Athol Fugard. Let me wrap up South Africa as succinctly as I can. After the death of a star witness, the Omatoso trial resumes, and another so-called pastor, Shepherd Bashiri, and his wife, Mary, have been extradited back to South Africa from Malawi. Frightening that these gangsters still call themselves men of God. SADC finally pulled out of the Congo, but there's still a war zone, this time in the Santon restaurant, as a gunfight ensued that might as well have been a scene from the OK Corral. Everyone's favourite cat, Skabanga, died this week. The fat cat that took ownership of the fancy oyster box in Durban had the heavens weeping for our kitty as level 6 warnings of bad weather hit KZN. I'd rather not skip over the waters, but I suppose I have to, so let's keep it tight. Trump is selling Elon's cars outside the White House, armed with a price list and color codes. Elon is having a bit of a hard time as his swastikas have been vilified across the world. The French burnt down his showroom. Gotta love the French and burning stuff. Sapphirs can relate. And when asked how it was that he was running his business and the US government, he responded, with great difficulty.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty.
Diddums. There is a ceasefire in the cards between Russia and Ukraine. There is no aid, electricity, water, or food in Gaza. It's day 14. A clear war crime without consequence. There are an abundance of Trump and Muscat stories, but I'm too wary and I really need a weekend. So I'll leave you with this. RFK, the man known for healthy eating, also did a commercial for Steak and Shake this week. Take the red pill, people, because the blue one is not fit for purpose. Those are big collisions, Hallie. They make for a lot of bruises. People get hurt in all that bumping, and we're sick and tired of it now. It's been going on for too long. Are we never going to get it right? Learn to dance life like champions instead of always being just a bunch of beginners at it? Athol Fugard, Master Harold and the boys. I'm Tonya Curry, and thank you for scratching the surface with me and Acumen Media. Rest in peace, Athol Fugard.